Hey guys, welcome to a review of the Angry Birds movie. Yeah, not, I mean, it's a weird thing to review a year after it came out, but I thought it was worth talking about. I remember seeing the trailers for this movie and going, this looks surprisingly good, and trying to get my friends to come watch it with me, figuring it would either be good or it would be a big meme, a big spicy meme. But nobody wanted to watch it with me, so I didn't watch it. But it's on Netflix, and I was on vacation, and I was with my family in a hotel room. And they wanted to watch a movie, so we put it on. And I have very few negative things to say about this movie. It was actually surprisingly good. It wasn't some sort of masterpiece, Lego movie level type kids movie, but it did what it did very well. I turn it on, and within the first scene, I am laughing. I am laughing at jokes that I did not think I could see out of a kids movie. This movie gets pretty. There's a lot of adult humor, and not like sexual innuendo adult humor, but like just kind of mature references and stuff like that kids aren't gonna get. It's kind of a parody of, at least I see it. It's sort of a parody of PC culture almost, because it starts out with the Red Bird, and he's in. I doubt anybody cares about spoilers, so I'll go into I'll talk spoilers. The Red Bird lives in this society of birds that all are happy and cheery, but they're all like really like passive aggressive towards the Red Bird. They're like aggressively passive aggressive, and that just contradicts itself. But that's how extreme it is. It's like in the very first scene, they're basically like deriding him, and he just goes off on this one dude, and then the dude gets mad and sues him in like bird court, and there's this whole thing. It's a lot less dumb than it sounds. But there's this leader bird who's like this tiny bird who stands on top of another bird, and he wears this big cloak to make himself look taller, and the Red Bird calls him out on it. It's just, the Red Bird is savage. The Red Bird is a savage. He does not care. He's like, I'm angry, and like they show flashbacks to his childhood and how like nobody got along with it. Basically, the entire town treats him badly, and so he kind of retaliates, and so that's basically like his life. And the Judge Bird, the Judge Bird sends him to anger management class, and in the anger management class there is the Yellow Bird, whose name is Chuck, the Black Bird, who is really the nicest guy. He just blows up when he gets angry, like actually blows up. And then the big Red Bird, who's just like this scary Hulk of a dude that doesn't talk. And they have a really weird joke when they introduce him where it like zooms into him, and he's like, and there's like, they like show like police sirens, and there's like screaming noises. Well, it's like the anger management. This is the one joke I'll tell you guys, just so you could get an idea of the weird kind of adult humor this movie has. She's like looking at his checklist, and she's like, and Terrence, that's the name of the Red Bird, you're here because, and then she like stops, like looking horrified, and then it cuts to the Red Bird and just like zooms into him, and there's these like police sirens and like a sound of a woman screaming, and it's like, what? There was a lot of jokes in like that in the movie where I'm laughing like that. I'm like, like I was like laughing in a weird uncomfortableness, like, am I really watching this in a kid's movie? It's very, very strange, but very funny. They even have a excuse me. They even have a piss joke that actually works somewhat. If you've seen the trailers, it's not really a spoiler, because one of the trailers literally shows the entire scene. Like, the whole joke. So I guess if you didn't like the joke in the trailer, you won't like it any better in the movie. But, like, it works because of the character's reaction to it, not because of the pissing itself. But, it's like, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that works. And then, so anyway, the pigs show up, and they're from, like, another land. This is all in the trailer. And the Redbird's like, these guys can't be... Oh my god, I'm yawning so much. Never record reviews in the morning. And the Redbird's like, they can't be trusted. They're bad. And everybody else is like, oh, yay, the pigs. And then the pigs throw a party for them, and then while the pigs are throwing a party, they burn down the town and steal all their eggs. And the Redbird tries to help. The Redbird and his friends try to help, but they were up talking to the Mighty Eagle. And so the Mighty Eagle is another really funny part of this movie. They make him like this slum slacker guy. If you've seen the trailers, you'll know, spoiler alert, he's the one, spoiler alert, sort of, he's the one pissing. He's the one that initiates the piss joke. So he's just like this fat, lazy bum who, like, has this legendary status, but he's not all he's cracked up to be, and the Redbird kind of calls him out on it, as he does with everyone in the movie. That's what's great about the Redbird. He just does not... We all know that one guy that just does not give a fuck and will, like, go off and say what he's thinking if something bugs him, and I like that type of person. Not everybody does, but that's pretty much what the Redbird is in this movie. Just unrelentingly, like, calls it as he sees it. And I like that instead of, like, not demonizing, but like derating that kind of character, berating them as being like too impulsive or too angry, too mean, because he is mean. Like, he is mean, dude. Kids movies usually do not have protagonists this mean, or if they do, the character kind of learns their lesson and gets their comeuppance by the end. But this movie actually seems to encourage his kind of attitude. Like, it's the message of the movie is an interesting one in general, which is kind of like, sometimes it's okay to be angry and judge and ask questions. Like, traits that normally are discouraged by children's movies are encouraged as being... Excuse me. Let me blow my nose. They are encouraged as being somewhat okay. Ugh, God. Are encouraged as being somewhat okay. Like, sometimes it's okay to be angry, or make quick judgments, or call things out as not being what they seem, or not being right. It's like, I mean, I guess movies don't necessarily preach not calling out, or, never mind, I'm derailing, but, so I really like the message, actually. It's a message you don't really see in other kids' movies, but it's got more nuance than most of the messages in kids' movies. God, freaking nose, dude. I feel like that made it worse. I probably should have just left it alone until the end of the review. Yeah, okay. So, another thing I really like is, so basically the first two acts are everything that I just described. Oh my god, I am yawning so much. And the third act is them trying to get their eggs back from the pigs, and this is where the stuff you know from the game comes into play, with the one bird that drops the egg bombs, although in the movie it's not really portrayed so much as an egg bomb as it is just like a light bomb, because with the way they've set up eggs in this movie, it would be really weird if she just pooped out an egg and it exploded. So and then they show the yellow bird's power, the black bird's power, the big red birds, or they even some of the other birds, like the orange one that inflates himself that doesn't really get any other screen time in the movie. They don't show the light blue bird. The light blue bird is actually The light blue bird has a certain place in the story that I don't want to spoil necessarily. And the boomer, they show the boomerang bird as he whacks some stuff and like comes back and hits them. I don't think they show the bird with the bubbles. Or no, I think they do. They show the pink bird, but like instead of making bubbles, she's just like a ninja and she kicks things. So that's kind of weird. But like, it's really cool because they go to the pig city and it looks like a level from the video game, just like on a massive scale, because they have like these crazy towers built with like rocks, like circular rocks and like wood pieces, all the types of things you would see if you've played the video game, and then the characters launch into those things and like destroy them accordingly, and it basically works just like the video game. Honestly, there's a lot of like tribute references to the video game that don't feel forced and are like actual connect, like they literally just took the video game, gave it a backstory as to why these, like, they basically, the first 2 acts of this movie is taking the little cutscenes in the beginning of the video games where the pigs steal the eggs and just expanding that into an actual story with actual characters. And then the 3rd act is the video game of them shooting out of the slingshot. It's weird though, because the pigs are the ones who actually show them how to use a slingshot. Like early on in the movie, the pigs are like putting on a show for them, and they're like, hey, we're gonna launch another pig out of a slingshot, it's gonna be cool. And it's like, they really should not have shown them that, because that was their downfall. But the pigs are also pretty cool villains. I mean, there's really like one leader pig that does most of the talking. You see him in the trailers, and most of the other pigs are kind of stupid, but you know, it's like, whatever. And they just like eggs. They want to eat the eggs and eat the babies of the birds. Yeah, they really emphasize the whole eggs being like the children of the birds, which is why it would be weird for the white bird to poop out an egg and have it explode. So that's why it's kind of like a light instead. But whatever. That really doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make is, with the comedy is genuinely funny in this movie. A bit off kilter for children's movies. Like, there are jokes in here that will shock you. I think this movie, that could in a way, is actually more enjoyable if you're an adult, because you have the more off-color humor. You have the sort of satire of PC culture, political correctness, like overly nice society focused on being overly nice and kind and trying not to offend anyone, while sort of being like passive aggressive towards those that like disagree with you, or like those that challenge your ideas, because the Redbird very much in his meanness and frankness kind of challenges the ideas of the bird society that he lives in. And so that's like an interesting layer of it that you don't get if you're just a little kid watching the movie. And it's like you could kind of relate to the Redbird if you're older more than you can if you're younger, because he's just like sick of everything. Sick of people, sick of life, sick of just the world he lives in, and it's kind of him learning how to handle his like anger and resentment towards the world, because it doesn't just say anger is good. It's like anger is okay sometimes, because there's certain points in the movie where he has to use a more positive approach, and in the end of the movie he has to sort of use a more positive approach with the king pig to trick him into like moving into a vulnerable position, which, I mean, I guess that doesn't necessarily preach to him, because it's just being nice to make him vulnerable. But anyway, it's just got interesting, nuanced morals, more than you'd see out of a kid's movie. Comedy that's a bit more risque than you'd see out of a kid's movie, and faithful, like, adaptation of the concepts that are in the video game, which is more than you can say for most video game movies. In fact, I'd say this is the best adaptation of a specific video game into movie form, which doesn't say, I mean, it does say something about this movie, because this is a movie that had no right to be good. I was not expecting anything. When I watched the first trailer, it was out of curiosity to see how bad it would be, and then I ended up thinking the trailers were good. And if what you see in the trailers is pretty much what you get in the movie, so if you hated those trailers with a passion and thought they weren't funny, I mean, I'd still recommend to check it out if you have the time, but you're pretty much gonna get what you thought you would get. But if you thought the trailers were interesting, at the very least, it doesn't even have to be good. If you thought the trailers were, like, interesting in a bizarre way, then that's what you'll get. Then you should watch this movie because it's interesting in the same bizarre way, that it's kind of like, it bucks a lot of things that conventionally go with kids' movies. I mean, the plot is standard. You can tell the plot from the trailers, and like the plot's as simple as the video game is simple, but the nuances and the characters and the like messages that it tells are what elevate it. I mean, it's not like a amazing masterpiece of a movie, but it's a surprisingly relevant and insightful kids movie that is relevant to our sort of time period and has like interesting things to say that you don't see in other kids movies. And for that alone, I think it's a good movie to watch both as an adult. You might be able to learn something from it as an adult, and also to show to your kids so they can learn something from it too. And that's my review. Arrivederci!